And before we get started, can you please put your phones on silent, just in case? Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Anna City Council Forum hosted by your Greater Anna Chamber of Commerce. Whether you're in the room with us tonight or watching later, we appreciate you taking the time to make a difference in our community. I am Tiffany Terry, the chair-elect of the Anna Chamber. It is my privilege to be your moderator along with Jesse Villarreal, the secretary of the Anna Chamber, who will be helping us keep time during this forum. As a reminder, this forum is being recorded and will be posted on social media later for our neighbors to review. Please keep that in mind during this session. After the forum is over, we will have a few minutes for meet and greet. However, we ask that you respect those in attendance by wearing your mask and keeping social distance with those outside your household unit. We will begin with giving the candidates 2 minutes to tell the audience about themselves. Mr. Atchell.
Good evening. Thank everybody for being there. Let me just start with thanks for you all and for you guys for moderating. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting. My name is Randy Ashley. I'm running for seat 4, place 4 at Anna City Council in a runoff election for December the 8th. I'm 48 years old. I'm a single father of 3. Lived in Anna since 2012. I served in the United States Air Force honorably in the early 90s during the Desert Storm. And for the last 26 years, I've been a firefighter paramedic with the McKinney Fire Department for the last 15 years. West Texas guy, so don't hold that against me. I served Midland Fire Department for 11 years before moving out here. I was born and raised in Midland, Texas, before moving this way. I have 3 kids. My oldest is an ER nurse at Parkland, so kind of does the whole public safety with me. My daughter, Kirsten, is 18, and she's a senior at Frisco Independence. And then I have a son, Maddox, that's a 5th grader at JKB here in Anna. So, thanks.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to participate in this. And again, same sentiments here. Appreciate the Chamber for constantly being here for this community and our businesses. I'm Stan Carver. I have a lot of vested interest in the city of Anna. My parents live here, just right up the street on County Line Road. I've been here for a couple of decades. My in-laws live right across the street from us here in Anna. Every one of my children have lived in Anna at some point, 2 of which have graduated from Anna High School. So I've had skin in the game at every level, including at one time having one at every level of school, elementary, middle, and high school. Not only with respects to family, some of my best friends live here in the city, and I've made some of the best friendships and business relationships and all of that I've ever had in my entire life. From a business standpoint, I am a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and especially during COVID, we all stepped up. The EDC, CDC, which I serve on as a vice president, we came to the agreement that we had some money available. Actually, we took it out of our budget, made that available to the public to help businesses get through that very harsh stay-at-home time and keep them functioning, or at least sustained whenever they weren't able to operate. And we did not lose any of those businesses. With that worked alongside the chamber to get the word out about the CARES grant, and then we had another round, and I made sure we got the word out again. So, as far as running for city council, it is the highest level of decision making in the city of Anna. I feel like I've proven at every level that I've operated at, starting at church and then working through parks and comprehensive planning, and most recently EDC and CDC. Thank you.
Now there will be 1 minute for each candidate to respond to a question. All candidates will be given the same question. If you would like to hear the question again, please let us know. Otherwise, be ready to answer when it's your turn. Stan, we'll start with you. What made you run for the city council position?
I think I'm where I left off then. With the city council, it's everything from budgets to making sure that the economy of the city is intact, that our safety, whether it's fire, police, ambulatory services, are properly staffed and funded. It's making sure that the current 120 people that are working for the city of Anna are equipped to do their job very well, and it also is to make sure that for the citizens of the city of Anna, that we are hiring the right people to represent us in a government fashion. With that, it's also to make sure that our government doesn't overrun our citizens, and that our citizens are heard in the forum to help direct our city government what's best for our community.
Mr. Ashley?
Let me just say, like I was saying about myself, I've had 2 jobs since I left home. I was in the military and now I'm in a firefighter. So it's in my DNA to serve the community. I look at it as, I just want to continue to serve in a different fashion. I can't be on city council in McKinney because I work there, so I live here and this is where I want to serve the best I can. I saw when Chris Reeves decided that he wanted to resign his position in place 4, we had a member from law enforcement and public safety on the city council, which I believe is a must. So I felt with him stepping down that it was the right time for me to step in and fill the remainder of his term.
Mr. Ashley, we'll start with you. What, if anything, would you do differently than current city council members?
Oh, I don't have any complaints about current city council members. I will say there's always room for improvement. There's always something that we could be doing better. And in my experience, public safety has to be primary goal. We have to, if the Constitution states that the city council's primary role is our public safety and infrastructure. So if we have to use public safety, in my opinion, as one of the main things to continue growing so that we keep up with the growth of the city. So I would just say that we have lacked in that in the past, but I think we have gained since this campaign started in February. We have moved exponentially through the city council versus getting a new ambulance, a new fire truck, we've got new fire chiefs, new police chiefs. Those things are huge, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
I do agree with Mr. Ashley. Our city council seems to be highly favored with the direction that they started about 3 years ago. Changing out our city government, getting in people who are very highly talented and skilled and experienced in what they do. I feel like on our city council, we've got a variety. I mean, we've got investors, we've got employees of various walks of life. We have people that are accountants, but we don't have any businessmen on our city council. And that's where I get to come in, with the exception of John Beasley, who is exiting for the seat that I'm running for. So I'm keeping up with the needs of the city, with what we need to bring to the city, and able to have those conversations, and have been having them on behalf of the EDC and CDC for a number of years now. And so that's what I'm bringing to the table, and I feel like the current council will complement well.
Okay, we'll start with you, Mr. Carver. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our city?
Oh, I like this one. Our transparency in the city has been improving dramatically. If you're on social media or have access to the website, there's a lot more information than was ever available before. I know the city is working to keep that up to date as well as fill in the holes, but not everybody is online. As a matter of fact, we have a large portion of our community that's still traditional media, whether it's newspaper or just passing by billboards and whatnot. I would like to have at every gateway of our city an electronic billboard that not only promotes what's going on inside the city, things that need to be voted on, informational things regarding water and new trash service or whatever it may be, but also to be able to bring attention to other things going on in our community, like what happens at our high school and what happens at special events, and bring the ability so that everybody passing through the city of Anna, whether they're a resident here or not, can go, wow, I think I want to be part of that.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. I'll go back to it. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our city?
Okay. So let me just echo Stan's. I totally agree. I think transparency is the key word there. But it's also responsibility of the citizens to be involved and to be interested in what's going on in their city. I'll say transparency-wise, the first thing I'll do if elected is publish my cell phone number and my personal email address, where you can constantly contact me with any questions you have, any complaints you have, or any concerns that you have with what the city council is handling. I think you have to be able to contact your city leaders and get a response from them so that you know what's going on. If you're dialed in that way and you're getting responses from your city councils, I think we can't do anything but move forward in a great fashion. So that's the best thing I would do, transparent.
Okay, Mr. Ashley, we'll start with you. What do you believe are the core responsibilities of the position you seek, and what will you do to carry these out?
I think they're on my sign: service, sacrifice, leadership. Those are the core responsibilities. You have to be willing to serve. You have to be willing to sacrifice your personal time, your family's time, and you have to be willing to lead. I'm willing to do all three of those things. I do that daily before even seeking election. I have served. I'm willing to sacrifice my time. I'm willing to be away from my family for the service of others my entire life, and I'm willing to lead. I think, like Stan said earlier, this is the highest position for city council in Anna by being on city council, and I think that's the best way for me to lead. That's why I seek this position out. I think public safety has to be considered, and who better than a firefighter or a police officer serving you to move forward in that fashion.
I agree, you have to be accessible. And not just accessible, but involved. And that means showing up at every business, whether it's a normal business or not that you want to attend. It also means making sure, like what you said about putting out your contact information. It means being accessible to everybody else, but you know, not everybody shows up at city council meetings, so they don't know exactly what might be going on, but get a few days heads up of what we're going to discuss. And the people that have elected us are asking us to keep them informed, also to make wise decisions and engage them with what their thoughts may be, especially on something that might be a contentious subject. And as long as we're representing the will of the people and the majority of the people, I think that I bring a lot to the table in that area. It sounds like Mr. Ashley does too.
Ms. Carter? What do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
There you go. I think every council member wants to be able to have something show up in the history books, a sense of pride. And I think the biggest one I've got really started very strongly when we built the playground out at the depot. And it brought together the community. Anybody who wanted to be part of it was able to paint, screw in a nail, cut a board. And to be able to know that every time I look at that, I can remember the faces and the names of all the people that were involved, and it was everybody. It was kids, it was adults, it was people that had jobs, it was people who worked for the city, all giving up their time, and council members. There was no one who was too good to do that job. We have a lot of other opportunities to do in the city of Anna that some of them will be community related, parks and that sort of stuff, and I look forward to working together with everybody on those. I also look forward to the history books, looking back and saying, wow, that was a prosperous time in the city of Anna.
I think the main thing for me, public safety wise, I hope to see more firehouses. I think we're moving that direction. We already have land purchased for Fire Station 2 on the west side of 75. But we have to be focused on what's going to take place in the future. We have to be looking ahead, public safety wise, fire and police wise, on where we're going to be. This city is booming, and in my opinion, we are not catching up, and we're not caught up where we should be with fire and police. I work for a booming city in McKinney, and we aren't caught up with 200,000 people. We're 22,000 people, and we're expected to be 150,000 people. So we have to be focused on staying ahead of the curve. So my goal with that, or what I hope to accomplish, would be more firehouses. Our developers that come in, I want to see us hold them more accountable. And I want to make sure that we're taking care of the quality of the product that we're asking to be brought into the city.
That would be distraction. I know it's hard to do. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, What would you do with it and why?
Could not be more redundant. I apologize. I 100% would be looking for a public safety building or land for more firehouses and police stations. That is kind of where I left off with that question, so that's kind of where, I don't usually like to deal in hypotheticals, and I don't see myself ever having $1 million to throw at you guys, but that's kind of what that's where I live. Sorry.
The only other answer I've got to this, if you gave it all back to the citizens, it'd only be a $55 check to their current population, so it sounds like a whole lot of money until you spread it out amongst everybody. It'd be really nice to hear from the community what some of their interests might be in that. I think the main thing would be making sure that we put it where it makes the most sense, most valuableness. It's easy to say fire and police, and I certainly wouldn't mind having our police force expanded a little bit so that those officers could actually go on a break. Right now, we're running a little thin, and I don't want to popularize that, but I would like to have a stronger staff so they can take care of more important criminal investigations and all of that. And since they're also trained as EMTs, wouldn't mind them being able to augment our fire department and be first responders as well more often. So I think I put it there.
Okay, Mr. Carver. What do you believe are Anna's 3 greatest strengths?
Well, I'm looking at a lot of them right now. So, as I said in my opening statement, my best friends, my family, and some really great people that do business, teachers, all of it. I genuinely mean that. This is an incredible place to live. I want people to come here and enjoy what we have, as long as they're willing to be part of it and not bring a contentious nature to it. It's really peaceful here right now for the most part, even though we've been in the national election. That too will pass. I also think that we've got, from the city side, I've met almost every single employee, and they have a love for this city as well. It's more than a job. And so we keep that culture in this community. I think we will be the gem of the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, I would 100% echo that. I think the primary reason I want to be here is the people that live in this town. I lived in McKinney prior to being here, and I moved here in 2012, and I would never go back. I love working there, but I love living in the city of Anna. Just the people here are amazing. And I would say the desire of those people to serve, whether it's in their church or in their neighborhoods, through their HOAs, or in city council. I know our 2 opponents are not here tonight, but we had a number of, I think, of 8 people willing to run for city council. That's unheard of in a city this size. So that's huge. We had people running against each other, running against incumbents for school board. So I think we've seen in this election that people are willing to serve, and that's a huge part of being in this town.
Mr. Axel. If not elected, what would you do to try to help work on ideas or issues that are important to you?
I would continue to do what I've been doing. I would focus on the friendships that I made. I think Mr. Carver is going to be elected, so I'll be talking with him about what I see he needs to be focused on, or what the city council needs to be focused on. I made a lot of friendships over the last 6 weeks, really since February, since we signed up to be running for council. It's crazy, but yeah, I just have got to know a lot of people while I've been doing this, and it's been a really good learning experience. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and if elected, I'm going to be doing it again in a year and a half. So this was going to be a 2-year spot for Mr. Reeves' spot, but by the time we get done with this COVID, everything's going to be about a year before we run it for re-election.
Thanks for the warning.
Yeah.
Ms. Terry, can you repeat the question?
If not elected, what would you do to try to help work on ideas or issues that are important to you?
All right, very good. I would hope that the current council keeps me appointed to the EDC and CDC. And by the way, for those that don't know the acronym, that's the Community Development Corporation and the Economic Development Corporation. That's specifically working with businesses that are complementary to where we're wanting to take the city of Anna. Also, those that know me personally know that I work with all of the churches here to put people in touch with ministers and put people into churches that I feel like will be complementary to where they are in life. I also work with ministries like Breaking Free to make sure that they are well supported with their efforts. I think that what I'm trying to say is I'm just going to continue being me and being available to anybody that needs me, and that goes across the entire city of Anna. It doesn't matter to me if you're Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter to me if you're black, white, Chinese, Peruvian, or whatever.
Okay, now there will be 30 seconds for each candidate to respond to the next line of questions, which can include questions received from the audience. Okay, we'll start with you, Mr. Carter. What are your plans to preserve Anna's history and historical buildings?
Nice. I feel like the downtown area needs to be turned into a historic district. We put some money into it from the park side. I feel like we need to put some money into it from the city side as well. There's very little of our history left, and it's been a lot of effort to preserve it as it is. Our Historical Society has published another book to make sure anybody coming to Anna knows what assets we have. At the same time, we also need to make sure we're creating our future history now in a manner that's complementary to where we're headed.
Mr. Ashley?
Yeah, I would say the Historical Society is huge. We have a lot of national, really, wow, a second. Oh, wait. I don't know what I'm saying. We have a lot of landmarks in town, and I think it's incumbent upon us that we let people, when they're visiting, know about those landmarks, whether it's through the Chamber of Commerce or through the City Council websites or the City of Anna website. Places that you want to go stop by while you're visiting Anna. I think that's where we need to be focused.
Mr. Ashley, we'll start. In what areas do you have experience in serving or volunteering in communities and cities?
I'm a head coach, or have been for the last 5 years through Anna Sports Group. Currently the 5th grade boys basketball coach. I've been leading through that. I have leadership experience with my city fire department. We have a firefighter association where I've served as vice president, and I've served for the last 10 years on a meet and confer panel with the fire department. What that does is it meets with the city manager and the city council to negotiate and improve employee relations through the fire department and the city.
I'll probably mention the chamber and some of the appointments from the city. Most recently, the Anna 2050 plan. Got to spend a lot of time on that. This job really requires the willingness to give up quality family time it's not even paid. But for the betterment of the community. And my family makes that sacrifice with me, and continue being and doing whatever's needed to make Anna a great place.
Mr. Carter? How will your job impact your ability to be at meetings?
My son and I are starting a restaurant here in Anna, and if he's running it, then I can be wherever I need to be. Currently, semi-retired out of my full-time employment, and the son said, let's start a restaurant. And I said, how about we bring a really cool restaurant to Anna that exists somewhere else? And so that's what we're currently working on. And we've already got the staff kind of lined out, the management staff, and I feel very confident, I feel like they're very confident in doing their job that will allow me to continue serving the rest of Anna.
What was it about the job?
How will your job impact your ability to be at meetings?
Yeah, okay. So it's probably directed at me. I work a 24 on, 48 hour shift. So I work 10 days a month. Anybody's interested in being a fireman, it's a pretty sweet gig. We got 20 days off a month. So I have 20 days off a month of services. And since I've been campaigning since February, I've already been looking ahead to how, if I have a council meeting, something like that on a shift, we have what's called trade outs. I'm an engineer for the city. If I have another engineer at my station that can work for me, He covers me, he can come here and cover me while I'm at the meeting.
Start with you.
Okay.
What are you going to do about rising property tax?
Well, mine went down. I would say continue to do what we're doing. I think what the city council is doing right now is what we need to be focused on. We cannot control a lot of the property taxes. Some of that is through the voters. We're talking about a bond program right now. If you want your property taxes to go up, then vote for every single thing that's on the bond. I think that was mentioned in November's meeting from the mayor. If you don't, then don't vote for it. We have to put citizens and the voters responsible for some of their own taxes.
I don't want our property taxes to go up either, and I wish the other two people running would tell us their stance in case they got elected, because I sure would like to know that they're not gonna run us up due to incompetence or whatever. One of the biggest goals of the EDC is to bring in the proper kind of retail businesses that inject this city with a lot of sales tax. And that, and also working with the right kind of developers that put in a lot of money in their coffers as well, so that we as citizens here and homeowners don't have to pay that bill.
Okay, Mr. Carver, what are your favorite places to spend time in our city? Where are your favorite places?
Well, I do like the parks. I feel like we've had a lot of say in how those have turned out. Our restaurants here, you can't go to any restaurant in this city and not see somebody you know. Or as my father-in-law would say, somebody I'm about to know and see them again. Those are my one of my top two. And then on Sundays, I must say that I enjoy being at our churches and worshiping with everybody.
Mr. Ashley?
I enjoy our restaurants a ton. I eat a lot of salsa Tex-Mex. You're welcome. I'd love to go there, and I hang out at the gyms, like I said, a lot of our school gyms, helping our kids. Coached, like I said, basketball, baseball, and football with ASG. And so I enjoy hanging out with my son and helping him and watching my other kids play through their respective sports.
Okay, Mr. Ashley.
All right.
How can you better unite Anna as a community?
We don't need to be better united. I think we're united. I would say we just need to focus on what the city can do for yourself. What can you do to help? What can you do to be involved? Like Stan said, this is a volunteer position. Seek out leadership roles. Seek out positions that you can do to help your citizens. You can help your neighbors. So I think we're united. I think we can always be more united, like we talked about with city council. We can always do better, but I think we're definitely one of the top places to live in Collin County and the state.
Mr. Parker?
Yeah, would you mind asking that again? I just like the sound of it.
How can you better unite Anna as a community?
So we are, even at 18,000 people, maybe 20,000 now, we have a little bit of diversity. Not everybody worships the same. Some people don't even go to church or any kind of worship. We have a variety of languages here. And frankly, I think that's what makes Anna really cool, is you don't have the same cookie cutter person that you meet across 20,000 people. And that's okay. I like what you said about neighbors. You need to meet them. We'll pick this up.
Let me just pull a Trump and interrupt here real quick. If you want to keep us united, elect myself and Mr. Carver.
Lastly, we'll allow a minute per candidate to deliver their final thoughts. Mr. Carver, we'll start with you.
All right, I hate this is ending. I wish the audience I wish people online could see the audience. You know, this is kind of typical of, to my left and to my right, you got people that aren't willing to commit sacrifice and make themselves available, or they're only making themselves available to people where they feel safe. This is not a safe job. As a matter of fact, whenever you get elected to council, a lot of people that that voted you in and told you they voted for you, they're now saying, I need you to make these things happen. Why haven't you gotten this done? This takes a little bit of thick skin, but at the end of the day, anybody elected is representing everybody else in this community. And not just for the city of Anna, we're representing it to the county, we're representing it to the state, and in some cases even to the nation. So that's why I'm running. That's why you need to elect me. I'm watching out for you, and I'm here and I'm available, and I'm willing to have the tough conversations, even whenever it's out of my comfort zone.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, I say amen. I think that's the reason me and Mr. Carver are here tonight. We're willing to serve, we're willing to step out and answer tough questions. We're not necessarily willing to host our own Zoom meetings where we can control the questions from our own party. Listen, we're having this runoff election because the Democratic Party seek to take advantage of a local election being on a presidential ballot. Straightforward. That's just my honest opinion. If you elect me, I'm honest to a fault. Sometimes I'm just gonna come out and tell you how I feel. And I think that's what your leaders need to do.
That's right.
So, look, we have to preserve our liberty. I mean, it's up to us to do that. If you want another shutdown, the guy that didn't show up to my right, that's who you need to vote for. If you want a mask mandate, the guy that didn't show up to my right, that's who you need to vote for.
Defund the police.
If you want to defund the police, the guy that didn't show up to my right, that's who you need to vote for. We are the only sure reliance for the preservation of ourselves is us for our liberty. We have to take care of it. And if you're willing to give up your liberty for temporary safety, then you're gonna lose both.
Thank you, Mr. Carver, Mr. Ashley. Thank you again for being a part of the Anna City Council Forum hosted by your Anna Greater Anna Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Officer Butler, for being here tonight, and thank you to our audience. Don't forget the social distancing if you have any questions for our candidates, and thank you again for coming.